and then there we go.
Hello.
Oh, that's nice.
There we go.
Oh, geez.
All right.
Wow, that's...
Thank you for tuning in to the Our Town Podcast.
Ooh, little Thurston Howell there.
Thurston Howell the Third. Lovey.
Your call is important to us.
Yeah, it is, actually.
All right.
Call us. Jakarta 9, here's looking at you.
We are in the Alpine 5.
Ding.
Well, welcome everybody to another exciting edition of Our Town Podcast.
Oh, it's extraordinaire.
Coming to you from the historic Renton downtown area the I Am Renton space. Thanks to Whistle Stop Cafe, Whistle Stop Ale House.
Yeah, they're
and
adults.
the I Am Renton.
And I Am Renton.
Go and eat there. What's up, everybody?
I know.
Hey,
Hello.
and we have a guest today. We have Captain Bob.
I know. Hi, Bob.
Captain Bob. Hello. Hi.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as Bob Benedetti.
Yeah.
Is that the official title, Captain?
That is actually a real official title.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
For aircraft of a...
I am a captain for a small little airline that flies out of Seattle here. That's based in the South. I'm just going to keep it vague and everything. Rhymes with Melta. But that's who I fly.
think I'm flying Melta next week.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Right on.
Excellent.
Do you stay within the contiguous United States?
Yes, because if you go overseas, that's a whole different set of rules.
Oh, sure.
That's how do I say this? Those are long flights, and as much as I love flying, I don't like to be in an airplane too long. So a transcon is about as good as I get. That's perfect for me.
Do you have a normal route?
Nope.
No? Just
Okay.
whatever.
We are not a railroad.
No, I used to fly to Cleveland all the time, and there was a Delta flight that went there like twice a week on a regular basis.
I shouldn't say that. If you have enough seniority, I mean, everything is seniority based at an airline. If you have enough seniority and you want to just fly between Seattle and, say, Orange County, you can do that. You can bid for that, and there might be a little bit of other things thrown in here and there. But if you just want to keep up to the West Coast, a person could do that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Do you have that seniority yet?
No, not even close.
No, good.
No,
Stay hungry. Try as the tiger.
It's really interesting how I got to this point, because for 19 years I commuted to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I literally had a second life where I had my home life here with my family and my friends and everything else, and then I had this other life where it was my work life, where I had my work friends and
Did you
everything
wear
else.
white patent leather shoes?
I did not wear white patent leather shoes. What I did do was actually get on trivia teams there.
Oh.
And so, there were times where my lovely wife would say, hey, don't you need to commute out early? It's Thursday. They're playing at the Buffalo Wild Wings there in Savage. And I'm like, oh, God, I do need to get out of here.
She's a keeper. Oh, come on. Yeah.
So, I'd get there, and it's like, Bob! It's kind of like the old Norm from Cheers. And, that was, that's what I did for 19 years.
Those were turboprop.
No.
Oh, those are all jets too?
Those are jets as well.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
But how I got here was, it's a long story, but the quickest way for me to say it is that I used to fly for Delta Airlines, but I didn't fly for Delta Airlines. However, I flew for Delta Airlines. Then I had an opportunity to come to work for Delta Airlines, so I had to quit working for Delta Airlines and come to work for Delta Airlines.
Okay, great.
And everything I just said is actually the truth. So,
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
yeah.
Bob, any favorite and least favorite places to fly into?
It usually involves food.
Okay.
Yes. Tell me more.
So there are some great places. Hartford, Connecticut. There is a place called the Blackboard Cafe. Some of the best wings I've ever had on the planet.
Jeez.
There's one on the menu called Gluttony, where it's yes.
Jabba approved.
Where they're breaded, they're double fried in duck fat. And
What?
Oh yeah, and in the breading, it'll be like ranch dressing and bacon.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
That sounds like a very Midwest.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
Sounds a little bougie.
Speaking of,
It's kind of a sorcerer's potion.
well, the place is not bougie, but I'll tell you, the wings are fantastic. Des Moines, Iowa, of all places, is kind of going through this renaissance right now. So downtown Des Moines is fantastic. Lots of great food options. There's one that's somewhat famous called Fong's Pizza, and what they do is they are actually in a old Chinese restaurant, and they took the original menu and made pizzas. They make pizzas that are inspired from those menus.
What?
And their big one is the crab rangoon pizza.
I mean, come on. Come on.
I don't know what crab rangoon is, but it doesn't sound good.
No, it is good.
It's those crunchy crab with the cream cheese inside and the crunchy shell.
Oh, that's something I would definitely not be able to eat without exploding my lower intestines.
Well, what a way to go, bro.
It done right, yeah.
And that's in Des Moines?
That's in Des Moines, Iowa. Yeah.
I could probably lose 50 pounds eating those.
Yeah, just the idea of eating crab that far inland is something I think about. Because as far as I know, Iowa does not border in
They got ice there, Mike.
There are two great things. You got dry ice and you got airplanes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay, you got me. Yeah, not all. Yeah. You know what I mean.
Any least favorite? Like, where do you hate? Like, if it shows up on your schedule, you're like, fuck.
Well, not anymore because we don't. The Delta Connection side of things handles smaller places, but we had a risk assessment matrix where the powers that be would and the safety department would sit down and go, okay, what are the biggest factors that affect safety for the airline? And they would go through and they would go, okay, so say you're flying in a mountainous area, say it's short runway, different terrain, busy, busy here, busy there, stuff like that. The highest one on the matrix was Binghamton, New York. Mm-hmm. And
never heard of it.
Every time, well, you should. Rod Serling came from there. I
know who Rod Serling is, but I couldn't tell you where he's from or what his favorite dinner was. So
it was also the
crab rangoon.
Probably, yeah.
But one of the it's most noted for
with Big Mac sauce.
Well, there you go. What's most noted for is a little company called International Business Machines.
Oh man. Okay, so that's where they're. All right.
Okay.
Jeez, all right.
And you also have a podcast too, don't you, Bob?
I have a podcast.
Do share.
I love to pitch it if you guys will let me.
No,
definitely help yourself.
So the whole podcast started with me being kind of a guest host on a previous podcast that covered the same thing I did. It was called the Atari Super System Podcast. And it was run by a couple of guys, Willie of Arcade USA on YouTube, and RK, a friend of his. And RK has a really cool background. He used to be, he still is, an artist and everything, and he had did a lot of comic book work and everything else. So eventually we'll have him back on the show. But Willie and RK ran the show. I wrote in one day. I was in the middle of training, so I was pretty much sequestered. If you want to have somebody go absolutely nuts, put them in a hotel for a month, and where you're just
away from family.
You're away from family. You're away from friends. Yeah. It's like, what are your options? Well, there's a Chili's across the street. It's like, let's go.
Well, that's how they sell Pepto-Bismol. Big Pepto.
Yeah,
is in charge of that.
And you can only cry in your room for so long before you got to do something else. So I wrote into the show and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm a huge fan of the Atari 5200. It was one of my go-to machines when I was a kid. Greatest game, by the way, folks. Greatest video game ever made, Star Raiders."
Oh, geez, and that's for the 5200?
That is for the 5200. It was actually
Star Raiders.
It has a storied history, and if you would like to see that history or hear it, you could tune in to the Atari 5200 podcast.
There you go. There it is.
Thank you. It's an over 2-hour episode. I mean, you have to go back all the way in history to the Computer Homebrew Club. I think that's what it was called. But it was the Computer Homebrew Club back in the Bay Area, back in the 70s. And this is where Paul Allen and Bill Gates and a guy by the name of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, all these guys were kind of in that orbit and everything. And there was another gentleman by the name of Doug Neubauer who was inspired by a text game that was made for the Apple, I think it was for the Apple I. And it was so popular that people said, hey, can you make this for the Apple II? And the guy who did it, again, the history of this is a little bit faded to me right now, but he goes, yeah, why not? And it became super popular. Doug Neubauer saw it and was like, I wonder if I can translate this into a graphic. Like and it's pretty much considered the first out the window fighter game
Sure.
that was made. The Xylons are attacking you, and you got to fly from
Xylons.
Oh yeah, there they go again. So. Yeah, Xylons are flying at you. They're trying to take out your star bases, and your goal is to take them out before they take you.
So was this game inspired by Battlestar Galactica?
No.
Okay, because Cylons is pretty close.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's the Xylons.
Like X?
With a Z or an X?
With a Z.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Jeez,
it's
cool.
it pretty much out the window for first person shooter game.
Like a cockpit view?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Exactly. And you have to manage energy and your shields and everything else. It's a fantastic game. But anyways, I wrote into these guys and they were like, hey, would you like to be on the show? And we did a lot of different interviews. And I think the lifeblood of any good podcast is you need good interviews or you need good information. And if you have both, boy, that's the
We
That's a
go
sweet
with
spot.
Striking wit.
There you go. Striking wit works as well too.
Yeah, we're aspiring to be.
We're a combination of we're doing commentary on things and then also just kind of casual conversation too.
Yeah.
But
It's like we're hanging out.
yeah.
And you know what? If I'm stuck in traffic like I was all day long, I was listening to the R-Town podcast.
Oh, geez.
I was kind of,
Well,
kind of
hey.
practicing. And it's like, just getting a vibe for you guys and everything else.
So where do you listen from? What app?
It's one where, do you remember about 10 years ago when I think Apple said we're shutting off our podcast or the iTunes pod or something like that, and then they've since brought it back or something like that. But all of a sudden everybody was like, oh my God, I got to, there was this huge scramble for different apps to fill in the gap.
Right.
The one that I use and have been continually using ever since was one called Downcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's better out there, but
I mean,
Man, not if you like it.
If you're on an Apple device, they do have Apple Podcast. So
Yeah.
that's still around. But there's also others you can get on Apple and on Android. I use Podcast Addict on my Android.
Okay.
Which is nice because it also allows you to leave comments on episodes.
Oh, that's
nice.
nice.
But it's only viewable by people with that same app. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Where can we find the Atari 5200?
You can find the Atari 5200 podcast on iTunes or Google or anywhere you download your
Google's
podcast.
going away, so probably are you guys on Spotify?
We're on Spotify.
So you find them on Spotify. Apple Podcast is still around, so you can probably find them on there. And yeah, just look on whatever your favorite is and just type it in.
We have
geez.
we have a Facebook page and everything. It's fairly popular. Every once in a while, people will even write in. Our biggest sin to our fans is that we have 5 to 6 guys who get together, and it spans 4 time zones. And for all 5 and 6 of us, or 5 or 6 of us, to get together online to meet and put together the podcast is difficult. So our tongue-in-cheek joke is to just stay alive long enough for us to cover the 69 original games that were put out for that machine and everything.
Is that kind of is that the subject of every show? Is a new?
We pick a couple of games. We pick depending on the game. Sometimes We'll start with this. There were 69 games released by Atari and other vendors for the 5200. Every once in a while, in fact, even now, the homebrew community has been putting out stuff left and right.
Really?
One of the things is one of your favorites, Sinistar.
Nice.
And what it was I think it was a prototype that they were working on, and somebody got a hold of the kernel and they got a hold of the original program and finished it.
Geez, that's
And then
totally. I didn't even know that was possible. That's
and they
wonderful.
published it, and it talks.
Wow.
They have at the Renton City Retro, which is coming up in May. They have homebrew people who do Atari games and NES games.
Are those cartridge or are those floppy?
They're cartridge.
Okay.
Yeah, they're cartridge.
And there's one of the vendors that comes to that event. He might actually be at the event this weekend at Peel Up Fairgrounds for the Washington Gaming Convention. He will put you into an 8-bit game.
That'd be cool.
I mean, that seems like a great sales angle.
I think
right?
he has. I don't know if he has a pre-made game and he just does an 8-bit pixel of you, or if he creates a whole game for your character or what. But yeah.
And the more pixelated I am, the more attractive.
That's right. I like that.
It's like a Monet.
Because when it's pixelated enough, then people can go, "Hey, what's wrong with his face?" It's like, no, I think it's fine.
That's Mike.
Did anybody else try to do programming on the Commodore 64 back in the day?
A little bit, yeah.
We got a Texas Instruments. I think it was 88. 88. Either way, it was just a keyboard with a thing where you could plug in like a tape deck to record your programs. And I spent 4.5 hours typing in this program that was in this book that came with the computer. It was called Mr. Bojangles.
Oh.
And I spent 4.5 hours typing. When I finish the story, you'll understand why it's called that. But I spent 4.5 hours because I spent 2 hours doing it, and then I hit start and it didn't do anything. So I had to go through the entire code all over again and find where I screwed up. Then when I figured it out, all I did was it had a pixel. Like a I wouldn't even say 8-bit. It was like 4-bit pixelated guy because he was like 6 pixels total, and the top it was like 2 in the middle, and then 2 on either side, and they would go up and down.
Yeah, so he's dancing.
Alternately, so he's dancing like this, you know.
Cute.
I'm like,
What's really cool about this story is that you did something that I've been told is used in the software industry called eating your own dog food. You had to go back. It's like, it's not doing what I wanted to do. So you had to go back all through your code and figure out what the problem was and fix it.
Wow.
And that's a great way to learn.
The thing is, though, I realized that I am not a programmer because I was entirely pissed off that I spent 4 hours of my day
To watch Mr.
to
Bojangles
watch
do his little
6
thing.
pixels bounce up and down. I was so mad. I was like, I'm never going to get into programming if that's what I have to do on a daily basis. No, I'm just not going to do that.
Hear ya. No, but when Willie and RK decided to stop doing what they were doing, they archived all of their episodes onto archive.org.
Yeah, the Internet Archive. Yeah,
the Internet Archive, and I did a lot of interviews. We don't do interviews for every once in a while we'll kind of sneak one in, but there's so many others that have done such great interviews. It's like, well, I just don't want to go over this territory again. Did an interview with Steve Baker. He was absolutely fascinating. He's the one who programmed Defender for the 5200.
Great. Wow. I love that. I love the arcade game.
One of the things about the 5200, and it's just been the bane of that system, was that people hated the native controllers for it. So nowadays there's so many different solutions that you can have. But the native controllers, they work great for some things, but they were the first analog joysticks. they just didn't know how to really work with these things.
Did
though.
the 52 and the 26 have a similar joystick?
Not even close.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
No,
I can't really remember what the 52
The 52
was.
had that
remember the
bigger
52,
joystick with the button on the top of the joystick, right?
No, it did not. In the
Okay.
5200, the 2600, you had I think it was the CX40, which is the classic. You got the why hello there.
It's Ben.
You had your classic, square, had the red button,
Oh, yeah.
the joystick. Everybody knows it. The 5200 had this new control. I think it was the CX52, where it was an analog joystick, however non-centering. And that caused a lot of different problems and everything. It had a keyboard on it. It had an upper fire button and a lower fire button, and it was ambidextrous, so it had it on both sides. So it was, and then you had these three buttons.
That's a big advancement.
Then you had these three buttons on the top. You had start, reset, and this one that nobody had ever seen before, pause.
Wow.
The 5200 was similar to if you built the best hot rod you could at the time.
Yeah.
And you showed up at the races, and nobody's racing anymore. So it was just kind of like this machine that was like ready to rock and roll. It was ready to take on the world. It was actually designed originally to go after the Intellivision.
Sure.
And
I remember that system.
yeah, I mean, and right now, if you another good podcast, the Intellivisionaries, they've done incredible work,
Cool.
Archiving all that stuff. But anyways, you have this incredible machine, and nobody's. You had the game crash of 1983, which
I
was.
didn't know that
So
happened.
the system came out right before the NES did.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. In fact, it came out in '82.
Okay.
And the NES, it hit American shores in 85.
85 or 86.
And it was the New York area.
Okay.
that
It
they-
didn't hit up here until 86.
Yeah, it was. It had the full release, the
Yeah.
full national release in '86 and everything.
Could you play the 20? Because we were the cool kids on the block because we had the 2600. Before anybody else did. I don't even know the 5200. It's not in my
it was right next to
vocabulary.
being
If I remember, it looked more like a computer than it did a console.
No, it was.
Or am I thinking of what?
You're thinking about like an Atari 400 home computer.
Okay.
Which, believe it or not, the 5200 is the 400.
That's what. Okay. That's
Originally, in fact, that's what it originally was. It was going to be the computer, and then no, we're going to put out a console, and then the console, everything fell apart for a computer console. I should say, video game consoles. So it was like, okay, well, let's put it back as a computer. So it was one of those back and forth type things. But if you take a 400, it had like this. What is it? Membrane keyboard. That was
Yeah.
kind of annoying.
Okay.
But
yeah.
But you take away that keyboard and you just reset a couple of registers and everything, and it's a 5200. In fact, there were a lot of I don't want to call them homebrews, but they're actual ports from the Atari 400, 800 line of computers.
Yeah.
Those games the registers being reallocated, and now you can play them on the 5200.
Could you play the 2600 games on the 52?
Again, one of the reasons why it was a downfall. It was the sad reason was it was not retro compatible. Unlike the 7800, which then came out.
Yeah.
And then when that
I think
came
that's
out,
what I'm thinking of.
that was retro compatible with the 2600.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the 52 or
And no, not the
Not the
52.
52.
5200, it's an animal all to itself.
skipped over it.
Again, it's the hot rod that there's no more racing.
Yeah.
So what do you do with it?
Because what was its? What were they meaning to compete against?
The whole idea was originally Nolan Bushnell and other people within the community, or I should say in the industry. Are you familiar with a little term called planned obsolescence? And that's really what they were going for, which was we have reached the limits of the capability of this machine. Now we're going to build a new machine, the next machine. I've talked about this several times. Where
Sony does that with the PlayStation, where they have the system out. And actually, nowadays they don't even release the machines as much as they used to. Now it's like they only put out like 150 PS5s, and then when they sell out, and you have to wait for the Sony to send out more. And it's like a manufactured supply and demand thing. They don't. They
For
can't.
the initial launch.
They can put out more. They just choose not to.
Oh yeah.
Well, you got to build the buzz.
Yeah.
You got to build buzz.
And then on top of that, it's like 6 years old at this point. And they still sell those things for $600.
Yeah.
But it probably cost them $550 to make, right? Those things
I don't think it costs them that much to make. I think they could probably sell them for $200 or $300.
And I guess
still make
it's
a
tiny
profit.
Chinese fingers.
So if we jump back into the Wayback Machine and go back to, when did the Xbox first come out?
99, maybe.
I want to say 2000.
I think it was late. It was
I was living
real
at the
late
pink house.
90s, early 2000s.
I think it was early 2000s because that's when I got mine.
We'll do the Wayne's World. I had some friends who were working on the Xbox, and they said that the hardware it's a loss leader.
Yes.
The whole idea behind it was not to sell the console itself, even though it was their console. The idea was, we need you to buy the games.
Yeah, get them stuck in games. Yeah.
Microsoft would break even after, at that point, it was 10 games. If you bought 10 games, they'd start to make a profit.
Because Xbox was bonkers at the time. Bonkers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was, trying to go against gaming not laptops, but the tower computer.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
So,
it was that's where the world was kind of going. It was like, well, I got this computer,
Halo
and it can
forever.
do this, and it can do that. And
Well,
Yeah,
it was
Halo
also
and Doom. When they did Doom 3, it's insane on a console.
it was also the
insane.
first console to have a hard drive
yeah, it was. Yeah.
because the PS2 you could get an aftermarket hard drive for
yeah.
it, and because it had memory cards to save things on, and the original Xbox had a hard drive, and not only that, but you could take an audio CD and rip the CD to the hard drive so you can have your own music in the game.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's the reason why I got an Xbox over a PS2, because I could do that. It's like I could have my own music while I'm playing a game.
Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue while you're playing Halo. I approve this message.
I did that with Doom. I was playing Doom listening to like 80s butt rock, so yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's the album covers.
Yeah,
So-
Doom, Castle Wolfenstein, just trying to
yeah.
click it out on the using a keyboard. What is ASWD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always remapped it to the arrow buttons because I hated using those keys.
I'm not smart enough to do that, so that's.
I never had a computer growing up.
It's
And
weird
just-
because on a computer you had to actually write out the commands, map, blah 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 blah, and then keys and blah 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 blah, more keys, and then it hit enter, and they would map those to that key. And me and my friends would spend a couple hours downloading sprites and stuff for our characters, creating our own custom characters, and then mapping in like the God command and the give all command, so you didn't have to type it in every single time. You can just hit a button. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember. What were some of the big ones when I was in college? Doom, obviously. There was one. We didn't get into Quake. We got into like Descent.
Yeah.
That one.
Which was cool because then we could do something. I mean, now I talk about this, and my daughter just looks at me like,
Descent.
Really, that was challenging back then.
Descent
Yes,
was-
it was because we had friends who were on the other side. I went to school over in Ellensburg, and we had friends who were like a few blocks away. But we were able to patch in our computers over, using this weird thing called the internet.
And that was new back then.
Yeah, it was.
And you actually had to have some knowledge of setting up TCP/IP protocols in order to do it too.
Central Washington University printed posters and posted them around campus. The internet is here. It's coming. And everybody, half the people were like, what the hell is this? So don't worry, we figured it out. But Descent and everything else, we played these games constantly.
Yeah.
And I think that's really why we do the podcast. The podcast is it a vanity project? Yeah, it costs me money. I'm the host and a producer, and my other hosts, we all equally pitch in and everything else.
What? You're not making money?
We're not making money. Wait, what?
You're not making money yet.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is we want to give these games the honor that they deserve, because the gentlemen who are sitting at this table right now are products of Gen X.
Yep.
our lives, our world was shaped by this. And I think that's one of the things where the baby boomer generation, just even though it was really, spearheaded by them.
Okay, boomer.
They don't get me going. But I have a full rant. Uh-oh, well, there we go.
That's
Welcome to Renton.
All right. Ooh, Angry Miata.
Oh yeah, I would be angry
That
too
was
if I
your
was
nickname in
driving.
high school, right?
That's my new band name, Angry Miata.
Seriously,
Ladies and
though.
gentlemen, Angry Miata.
And it's a guy with a guitar and a drum machine.
Nice.
But really, it comes down to giving this world its due and showing why we are who we are, because. I talk about my dad, bless his heart, but my dad, he thought that computers, these are just the next encyclopedias. Every home's got to have an encyclopedia. What are you going to do with an encyclopedia? And this guy was an educator. He was an educator for 37 years, teaching math and science. You'd think he'd latch on to something like this. Not at all. He thought,
Really? I mean, calling it the encyclopedia is not wrong, but he was only off by a couple decades, I think.
Well, and I mean, I think what Bob is also saying is that the direction of it went into games, and you know what I mean?
It just couldn't do. It could do so much more. I mean,
Right,
And you know what? This is all up until computers. Virtually almost all of our technology was passive technology.
Yeah.
I buy a television, I turn it on, I watch it. I buy a washing machine, I put my clothes in it, it washes it. I buy a dryer, it dries the clothes.
Yeah, well, because technology is supposed to end toil.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then you have the automobile. We could interact with that. You have airplanes. We could interact with that. Boats. Hey, technology. We can interact with that. Now all of a sudden you have a piece of technology that is the reason why the 2600 was so bloody popular was because they could get that price point down. It was the model. You can think of it as the Model T of computers.
Yeah.
Here is this piece of technology, and this was the very first piece of technology that came into my household that was interactive. You could plug it into something passive, and now you're interacting with it.
Yeah, except for computers, you don't get motion sickness from like you can cars and planes.
Yeah, exactly. But the best part is if you want your Cheetos, you can just get up and go into the kitchen and grab them.
Unless of course you have a VR headset, then you're definitely going to have to deal with motion sickness.
Let's not walk around with these things.
I've seen photos and videos. I think those are all fake. I don't think people are actually walking around with those things on their head, because those things.
I hope they're not.
The batteries don't last that long. Maybe a couple hours.
It's a cool idea, but I don't know if I want
I've seen the
society to
videos.
move in
I've seen the videos of the guys who are getting out of a Tesla with the Apple VR headset on, and they're like typing like this. I'm like, yeah, I don't believe people are actually doing it. I think that's more or less a kind of a poking fun at
That's the real or whatever.
For me, in my career, what would be interesting is to use these VR headsets or AR headsets. There's something that we call a Cat 3 approach, where we fly the airplane, and when we land, we're not doing the landing. It's the airplane that actually does the landing for us. I'm basically there to kick off the autopilot and to take the plane off the runway.
So it does the braking,
everything.
I did not know that.
Everything. And we've been able to do this for decades and everything. But everything has to. It's a very controlled environment
Now,
where you would do this.
All like jet airliners that way, or is it specific models of jet airliners?
It depends. How much do you want to spend?
Yeah.
I mean, like the 737s, do they have those?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because the last time I flew over to Spokane, the takeoff and landings were really rough. So
That was probably the human that was doing it.
Well.
And also, it's a 737.
Yeah.
I'm an Airbus guy. It's okay. But what would be cool is if I could have these AR headsets on, and I could basically see through the clouds, because on a Cat 3, the visibility that's required, at least it used to be, for my airplane, it used to be 300 feet. All I have to do, I just have to have 300 feet of visibility.
How quickly does 300 feet? Is that a half of a second? How you're moving?
It's about half a second. Yeah. It's about a second or so. They've had it up it to 600 because of some crew someplace on the planet had a little bit of trouble, and
It's a goose.
like, now we got to bring it up to 600, which, okay, whatever the lawyers say, that's what I comply with. But to have the backup where you have this AR system where I can, this visually, computer generated environment where I can see the runway now. I don't, when I land, a lot of times it's right as the wheels are touching down during one of these Cat 3 approaches. That's the first time I see the ground.
Yeah, interesting.
And it's really cool and everything else. And I got to tell you, everything works beautifully because it is a non-event. It's like, okay, sit there.
You said, how long have you been flying? 20 some years.
Ooh, let's go up.
Nice.
Nice. Has it been like that the whole time?
No.
Okay.
There have been times where I have there have been a lot of times where I'm just like, plug your ears, kids. Fuck this shit. I'm out of here. I'm selling insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been, I'm telling you, there have been some ups. There have been some downs. It has just been, I wouldn't have traded in for anything. It's been an incredible experience. It's been an incredible life. I'll tell you, when the highs are highs, they're great. And when the lows are lows, boy, there were some rough times and everything. One of the things I do is I volunteer for the Airline Pilots Association, otherwise known as ALPA, and I work within a group called the Critical Incident Response Program. And in my many lives that I have lived, I was a first responder for Maple Valley. I was a volunteer firefighter out there for a little over 4 years.
Wow.
And saw some stuff, as you would. If I have anybody who wants to become a first responder or want to serve their community in that way, I always suggest that the one thing you should do is to serve adjacent to the community that you serve in.
Yeah, because you don't want to see that's
See
rough.
neighbors.
Yeah, about three. You see somebody who swallowed a whole entire bottle of sleeping pills because her husband's cheating on her, and she doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And then 3 months later, you see her at the Thriftway out there in Maple Valley, and it's like, hey, hi, how you doing?
I know, but it's also incumbent upon us not to remember our friends and neighbors and acquaintances at their worst. Right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. So
I just try to think of everybody naked at all. Just lightens all that right up.
don't do
Stop
that
looking
here.
at me, Mike.
Deal
So
with it.
uncomfortable.
But yeah, it's something that I really believe in and everything. And what happens is if something happens out on the line where, say, somebody blows a tire or I know that what's happening over at another airline, they've had a few instances and everything else. We're the ones who step in to see for the welfare of the pilots.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're not part of the investigation. What we are is we're basically moral support, and if we need to bring in greater resources, we can.
Fair enough.
And it's super important because when I was talking about those lows, I've had to deal with I don't want to say several. It's been about as many on this hand, as fingers on this hand, suicides and everything. Because
It's a high stress thing.
it is a huge high stress thing, and one of the biggest things was just people butting their heads up against the glass ceiling. You want to move on to the next level, and fortunately, along with a lot of other people, we have been able to do that. But for at least 10 years, that was unattainable. It was like being at the farm team for the majors, and you're never moving up.
Just sitting at AAA.
Yeah.
You're sitting at AAA, and you're like,
That's a corporate thing. That's a management thing. That's just a style of doing business or a style of treating.
how long do you want to be
Well,
here?
good point. Yeah. Do you trust your union representation? Do you like
Absolutely,
your union?
yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's nice. So
Yeah.
that's something.
Well, and
But-
there's also two things. There's the political side of things, and there's the safety side of things.
Yeah.
And I work in the safety side of things. Representation. I actually know personally the people who represent me, and they're great people. I wouldn't have voted for them if I didn't want them there. And obviously, as you move up into the national things, there are some people who you may disagree with them. You may disagree on how they're going to do something, but really what it comes down to is that we're all cut from the same cloth. And everybody is trying to do everything they can for the best interests of of the airline pilots and for their pilot corps at their airline. So the long answer to your question is 34 years.
Wow.
I just needed that
good on you.
little bit, but that's from when I
It's a lot
started
of
as
mathematics. That's a lot.
and really what it came down to is, how far back? Well, that would be in September of 1989 when I took my first flight. And
Wow.
yeah.
Now, was that like jumbo jet flight, or was that like a small engine
That
flight?
is Cessna 152,
Right on.
rattle trap, just
The
paint flaking off.
the plane that sounds like a ninja revving up.
No. That would be a Rotax engine. And some of those, by the way, Father's Day is coming up. The Icon A5 would be a wonderful gift.
Nice. All right.
If we knew
Heard it
that
here
was.
first.
It is. I think of it as a 2-seat jet ski with wings.
See?
Ooh. I don't
Okay,
know
you
if
know-
I want to ride that.
Do they make those in a kit? Is that a kit?
No.
That's a
It's-
real thing? Oh, yeah.
It's a very real
Now,
thing.
is that designed
Icon, what?
to hold normal-sized humans or fluffy-sized humans?
Normal size humans. I actually went. There was a dealer who was out here at Renton Field for a little while, and I'm still on their news feed and everything to take a test flight. But they're like, "Well, how big are you?" And I was like, "I'm this big." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to get one of the smaller flight instructors to go."
Oh, how dare they? Oh, you better put a turbo on that motherfucker.
Well, it's
And how far can you go with one of those things?
Yeah, as far as the fuel will take you, but it's not one of those planes where you're going to go cross country. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
if you wanted to, sure, but you're going to be
Yeah.
doing a lot of skipping.
But you have to have fun. And,
So
yeah.
you couldn't take it and like fly down to Anaheim for
Yeah.
a weekend?
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
Sure.
It's going to take you all weekend to get down there. Might take you from like Thursday to Friday, and then you can go to Anaheim and have fun and everything else. It'll take you 2 days to get back.
Is this like a John Denver experimental aircraft kind of thing?
No, it's an actual Icon aircraft. It's an actual one.
Geez, I'm going to Google it.
I think Phil Condit, former CEO of Boeing, was on the board of directors for it and everything.
there you
And
go. All right.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you, just
there-
go to YouTube, type in Icon A5, and everybody who's flying it, their biggest problem is that after they fly it, they have to go to the hospital to have the smile removed from their
Nice.
face.
Oh, nice.
There you guys go.
Yes, there we go.
Oh, that's a good looking
kinda
plane.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
It legitimately looks like someone put a plane on top of a Ski-Doo.
Yeah.
Or a
Again, is
Sea-Doo.
that a rear-facing propeller? What was
Yeah,
it?
it's
All right.
In the industry, it's called a pusher prop.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'm going to have friend of the show, buddy Eli, who works for the FAA, take a look at that.
Yeah.
Give an
Yeah,
honest
are-
opinion.
Are you seeing kind of a renaissance in manufacturing? Like we have Rivian and we have what are some Polestar and
Yeah.
Tesla and other not necessarily battery powered but non-big two manufacturers making airplanes.
hey, we talk about America, and I'll tell you what, that is America, where you have small businesses
Yes.
doing the groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah,
But,
and then
hey,
they get bought out by the big guys.
and exactly, because they put their blood, sweat, and tears into developing a technology.
Yes.
And you know what? I'll tell you, if I put my blood, sweat, and tears into developing something, and somebody drove a truckload of cash up to my house, am I going to say no?
Yeah.
I'm going to say thank you.
I long for that.
So how much
Yeah,
fuel does one of these things
Buy our podcast.
hold, and how expensive is that?
2 people, maybe a couple of bags, and if you want one, I think you could probably get on the list for about $300,000.
But how much does it cost to fuel up? Is what I'm, because I know I can't afford this plane, but I'm thinking.
Look up what the price of avgas is right now.
It's leaded gasoline still available.
Actually, yeah, and in fact, I think now
The only place it's still available.
I
Maybe
think-
Marine, but I don't think so.
it was called 100 low lead, but I think they're eliminating that as well.
Yeah, you want to know why? Because atomizing lead into our atmosphere is a bad idea.
You don't say.
And probably why older generations are so bad. No, I'm kidding, folks. No, but there was a lot of lead.
There was a lot of lead.
Thanks for knocking down, right? Because the manufacturing, was not as precise as it is today. Our robots of today are precise when they make shit.
Listen to it. Again, my fandom of podcasts. There was one where somebody was talking about this guy who basically tried to kill the human race 3 times. And it was the guy who what is it called? Is it tetracycline lead or something like that?
Oh, sure.
Whatever it is, I know there's tetra in it, but he's the guy who figured out, if we put this additive into gasoline, huzzah, the engines won't knock. Well, then they discovered, this lead's going to kill us all. And also, anyways, I can come up with something else called a chlorofluorohydrocarbon or
Some CFC motherfucker.
Now you're going to destroy the ozone.
It'll just take longer.
Yeah.
And he eventually he actually accidentally killed himself and everything.
Oh, man.
You can look it up.
Maybe the lead would counteract the CFC.
Yeah, you'd think that. So
I thought he was going to say it was the guy that introduced us to Pop Rocks, Tang, and Cool Whip.
Oh yeah, there we go.
It almost sounds like the guy who was trying to launch himself into space using steam-powered rockets.
Oh, recently?
Was that recent?
In the last 4 years, yeah.
Like pressurized steam?
Yeah. The last time he did it is the time that killed him. Yeah.
I mean, it'll get you up a ways, but atmosphere
it got him up 5 miles.
Is a lot. And
he
geez.
got up 5 miles.
That's impressive.
His parachutes didn't open. That's why he died this last time.
Man.
Kids, and for everybody listening at home, rocket science really is rocket science. This is not easy stuff.
It's not Wile E. Coyote and Acme.
He was legit getting support from the Flat Earth Society. I mean, people from the Flat Earth group were sponsoring his stuff.
Because he wanted to go up and see the curvature, the non-curvature.
You could a lot less than 5 miles.
I can make it even simpler. In fact, I have photos on my phone where when we fly up to Alaska, a lot of times it's at night and everything. And when in fact, here's one.
Except for they say that guys like you were on the take, man.
You've been bribed.
One of our leads took this beautiful picture. It was so breathtaking. I was like, I'm stealing this.
Go ahead and send it to me so I can post it.
Right there.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. Yeah, definitely send that to me.
But take a look. That's the Earth right below us.
Yeah.
Is it curved?
And that looks like a curve.
That's the corner of the plate, dude.
Yeah, is that the
Wow,
corner
that's a
of the
good
plate?
photo.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Go ahead and send that to me, and I'll post it on our Facebook.
I think Aurora Borealis was visible down here last week or something.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it was barely visible. But man, I'll tell you, when it's a popping,
it's neat.
You just saw the result of it. It's one of the reasons why whenever I think, and I don't do this anymore because I'm living currently the life of Riley, where I am based at home on an airplane that I love, with crews and people that I love to work with. When they say, if you do something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I'll tell you, I did something I loved, and I worked pretty damn hard every day of my life, and I do so now. But it's, man, a 1,400-mile commute compared to a 7.5-mile commute. I'll tell you,
that's
big
nice.
difference.
That's nice.
But I get to see stuff like that.
Yeah.
When your teacher was like, "Stop staring out the window. You'll never get paid to do that."
Screw you, Mrs. Johnson.
Yeah.
That's right.
Told you.
Take that.
Any UFO tales?
Yes.
All right, cool. You don't have to get specific, but that's neat.
Yeah, saw something where we reported it in. We were pretty much right over. This is back when I was flying turboprops, flying in the middle of the night, doing air cargo, and we saw something where it, for lack of a better term, it looked like a comet going the wrong direction.
Wow.
And this was right after a little moment in time called 9/11.
Yeah, bummer.
So something was taking off from somewhere in Central California. There wouldn't be an Air Force base out there, would there?
Maybe.
Couple. Maybe.
Yeah, a couple, with different aircraft. And so...
How far away from your plane was it?
Don't know. But whatever was taking off, it was going the opposite direction of a meteor.
Oh,
and we're at 24,000 feet. and we're leaning forward trying to gaze up through the window to try to keep an eye on it, and then it flares and it's gone.
Wow.
And I was like, that was interesting.
A weather balloon. Weather
And it
balloon.
was one of the few times. And at the time, it was one of those few times where I actually had a first officer with me because we were authorized to do single pilot operations, but I had somebody else with me. And he looks over at me and he goes, should we call this in? And I'm like, I don't know. Should we call this in? Let's call it in. What the heck? Excuse me. Called it in, and all of a sudden, the air traffic controllers got really quiet, and they're like, in-flight 488, stand by. We're like, oh, this is way too quiet. And the awkward silence just continued and continued. And his name was Adam. He looks over at me and goes, they're going to shoot us down. We saw something we shouldn't have.
No, man, you went straight to it.
I was like, how fast can I get this thing out of the air? And then all of a sudden they came back. They said, Flight 488, we had nothing on our screens. Did you make sure? Are you sure you saw something? You know what? Could have been anything.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Left it at that.
Yeah.
Sounds good, 488.
But there's no, in that type of, you checking in with air traffic or whatever, that's not a demerit on your record.
No,
okay.
no, not at all.
Yeah, okay.
Unless you saw something you shouldn't have, and they're going to shoot you down.
Sure, but I mean, yeah, but what do you
Probably
do?
fairly required to
Oh, absolutely,
notify,
yeah.
right?
And that's the thing. It's like, this is...
Yeah, you
this
don't
is-
want Chinese air balloons taking
Yeah.
photos and not being reported.
Actually, I'm going to tell you something. Speaking of balloons, I'm going to tell you what you have to report, especially the Mylar balloon that the little kid let go of.
Yeah.
And you're screaming along at 550 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the last thing you need to do is for this Mylar balloon that's sitting at 20,000 feet.
Are
because
they really?
Oh, sometimes they get up there.
Man, I thought-
You're coming down in a descent into New York City, and this Mylar balloon comes zinging past you, and it's like, hey guys, there's a Mylar balloon
Yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want is for to suck that thing into your
Yes.
engine, and it's probably not going to do anything. But
Do you want to take that bet? Do you? You know what I mean? It's like, come on, kids. See? One more kid. I'm telling you, people, how many times do I have to warn you? Kids are the problem.
they're out to get us. I understand everything now. No.
Do you guys ever have issues of like people like flashing lasers from their homes or the backyard?
One of my friends, he's not just a friend. My wife and his wife, they tongue-in-cheek refer to both of us as our hetero life partners.
Do I know these people?
No, you do not know
okay.
these people. But unless you're from Central Oregon.
No.
But anyways, he just had about a year ago somebody using a high-powered green laser, and he got hit by it, and it's serious stuff.
Don't play with lasers and point
Who's
them
the
in the sky.
dum-dum who thinks that's funny? Or is that is somebody trying to be a terrorist, or they think they're funny, or does it depend on the instance? Or
He did have some eye damage happen. It took about... It was nothing that he couldn't heal from, but he was, it damaged... If you have damaged eyes and you're flying a jet airliner, it's not good.
No.
I have to. The one thing that they test for you over and over and over again is your eyesight.
Yeah.
If you can't see, you can't fly. And that's
So even joking around, they're looking to damage his career, let alone the flying aluminum gas tank.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it seems like a really dumb.
and it's a federal
Right.
offense. You'll do 15 to 20 for
There
it.
you go. All right. There.
I think
And they are good at hunting those people down.
Yeah. I do know someone who tried to like point a laser at the mirrors that are supposedly on the moon, but
I think that would take a really powerful.
I think they use an infrared laser on that.
okay.
Yeah, they use some. There's something outside of the visual bandwidth. That
Yeah,
they
are you
use
guys
for
using
that.
LiDAR? What is it pointing out from the nose you're playing? Is that a LiDAR
It's just
system?
a regular
It's
radar. Yeah, it's just a radar dish, and it paints weather.
Okay.
If it's precipitation that's in the air,
Density in general.
just bounces off of that, and discovered that back in World War II.
Yeah, it works just
Yeah,
great.
what are these blobs coming at us? Those are clouds.
So now, are your planes cargo or people?
People.
Okay.
Humans.
Yeah, humans, but we will carry cargo all the time. In fact, that's a huge that's a huge part of the revenue stream.
Have you ever done one of those planes that they do the anti-gravity thing inside the
No,
plane?
but I have a friend who is related to one Chuck Yeager. But lives yeah.
That guy's
If I remember it, he's the grandson of him.
wow.
And he did do that back. I think he was in college when he did that, but he was invited to do the vomit comet, and he did and everything. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I heard they filmed most of the anti-gravity scenes for Apollo 11 inside that plane that they used for the training on that.
Acquaintance of mine who I worked with when we were flying at the cargo airline together. I think he's now with Alaska, or maybe he's probably even retired by now. But his dad was a test pilot for Boeing, and they outfitted a 747 specifically so they could do stuff for the Matrix, the Matrix trilogy.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, for I think it was movie number 2 and number 3. They
Built the set inside the
They
plane.
built the set, or essentially green screen set inside there, and it was just. You're just flying parabolas all day long. And,
Oh, man.
Pardon me while I.
Yeah, although I bet they got paid pretty well for that.
I
By
would
the time
certainly hope so.
Yeah. And Matrix 2 knew they had a budget.
You know, and I think that's for everything. It's like, hey, you know what? This is a lousy job. No way. Well, here's a chunk of gold. Oh, okay. You know what?
Yeah.
Buckle up. Let's
It makes
go.
it a little sweeter anyway.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Every job needs to be done. Just.
Well, digging a ditch can be a drag, but being a well-paid ditch digger.
Well, I'll tell you, well-paid ditch digger. Guess what? And you know what? The ditch is typically better off when you have the skills to do something like that.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite sayings is, hey, you want to take away civilization? Take away the plumbers.
Oh yeah. No, ditch diggers are
If you want
awful.
to see civilization just completely crumble around you, get rid of the plumbers.
Yeah, but plumbers also know that. They're like, we save more people than penicillin. It's like, well, yeah, I know, but do you have to say it, bro? Do you?
Yeah.
I actually have a guy I used to call a friend, and we're more acquaintances now these days. But he's a truck driver, and he was like, "I'm a first responder because I deliver, things to your grocery store." It's like, I'm right up there with the military. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
But it's still the
Vital.
keeping everything.
Vital, yes.
Vital,
keep
yes,
it
but
shit
you're
flowing, 'cause
not
we're
like
so used.
you're not up there with like the
I stopped the Astro zombies. It's like, no, you don't.
You're not up there with like the first line of defense in the military.
Oh,
no.
yeah. Oh, yeah, or car accidents and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
But still,
running into a burning house. I mean, that's just to save somebody's life. Yeah.
It's not the same as
it's-
delivering toilet paper to Safeway.
You are putting. Well, you are exposing yourself to risk, but it's all about what level of risk are you doing. It's like, the higher the risk, the better trained you better be. So.
He was also one of those anti-vaxxers too, so he didn't get
What years were you Maple Valley?
As soon as I turned 18, so it was.
Geez, good on you, kid.
20 years ago.
Give or take.
Give or take.
Give or take 10 years.
I wish it was. No, I served from about 89 to 93.
Yeah, that's great.
Or so like that, or something. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, my uncle and auntie, Matt and Robin Soper.
Okay. Yeah,
That was later on.
my dad, who just recently passed, he put 27 years in.
Wow. Magnificent.
And he.
Did you go to Tahoma? Are you a Tahoma guy?
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm a Tahoma guy.
All right.
Back when you had to pick a banjo to.
It's a nice school, actually.
Best. It's considered one of the best in the state, and if not the best in the state, it's one of the largest, if not the largest in the state.
Yes.
And their drama program they were highly honored. Because they were one of 2 schools, I think, in the state of Washington that were given the blessing from Disney, and they put on a production of Frozen.
Oh, jeez.
And we're talking if Disney gives you the Hail Mary and everything else, that's a huge thing.
I feel like I have to ask, being that you used to be a firefighter, have you ever watched Tacoma FD?
No
No desire to?
desire.
Okay. I just say I've asked every firefighter I've ever met, and some of them said no, and others said yes. And I said, how accurate is that? And the ones who said they watched it said it's pretty accurate.
For me, it never is. It never is accurate because, especially when this is why when Dylan McDermott or something did a show on Fox that was it called The Crew, where it was about airline cruises.
I've never seen it, but yeah.
So here's the reason why almost every show that centers around flight crew fails, because our entire life, and when I was a line check pilot, when I was a flight instructor, when I was a mentor for the university, when I was a mentor for the airline, there's this mantra that I used to I would shout it from the highest hills. This job is the relentless pursuit of boredom.
Yeah, because you want the mundane. You don't
want
Yes.
No, I want every flight to be like what it is right here. Through 10,000 feet, we just start talking about cars or food.
Yeah, no, excitement's bad. Yeah.
Or the latest Ghostbusters, which, by the way, how was that?
I saw it twice in 24 hours. What does that tell you?
Good. All right. I can't wait.
That's actually why I have these out
here. Here we go, right here.
I definitely wanted to talk about it tonight, but I wasn't going to step on anybody else's toes. So.
No, that's okay. If you want to talk about it, no, well, I'll
have either of you guys seen it yet either?
No, so yeah, no spoilers, please.
No, I'm not going to spoil nothing.
Is this the popcorn thing?
This is the one from Regal.
Check
this out.
So you put you pour some popcorn in there?
Yeah, you put the popcorn in there. Yeah.
It's battery powered.
And it has lights. Yeah.
Cool.
This is the one from Regal. The one from AMC does not pop open like that. It has a bucket that looks like the lights coming out of it. That you put the popcorn in.
This is really well done.
I mean, and stickers. It's like, is that a limited edition thing?
This, as I've been told from the other groups, the other guys in the Pacific Northwest Ghostbusters, this is very similar.
It's expensive to make a mold like that anyway, but a mold like that and then have somebody apply stickers.
This is basically the same thing as the Spirit Halloween trap.
Okay.
It's a little different, but it's basically the same thing. It's the same shape and size. I think the difference is the colors and the stickers. So
okay. I was trying to get the Dune bucket.
And the Dune flashlight.
Well, here's what happened. I went later in the evening because I wanted to get good seats and everything. Which, by the way, whose ever idea was to select your seats in a theater. Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. Oh, now you're just showing off.
Oh, man. It's impressive.
Did that come along with that? No,
it did not.
Personal. Gotcha. Okay.
I got this off of Hasbro's website.
Oh, yeah. I remember the brouhaha over that and everything where some people were really happy about it. Some people were really upset.
This is the 84 one that just came out like a month ago.
Yeah,
so the one that came out 2 years ago is called the Spengler wand, and which has got like the taper on the handle, and
gotcha.
It has a shotgun grip on the front.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, being a fellow geek, and especially when it comes to like Star Wars toys and stuff like that, which I'm not as prolific as I was. It was ridiculous for a while. But anyways, I tried to get the Dune bucket. My daughter was like, "You got to get the bucket." And I'm like, so I show up. There's nothing. However, there's one left that was like left right behind the counter, be on top of the popcorn machine, and I'm like, "Hey, you got the Dune bucket?" And he's like, "No, we're all out and everything else." I said, "Well,
you're like, bro,
what about the one behind you?" He was like, "Well, I don't know if I could sell that one and everything else." I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll give you $40 cash right here, right now, in your pocket if you put my popcorn in that bucket." And this is why America is going to fail, folks. He looks at me and he goes, "I'll be right back. I'll check with my manager."
Yeah.
Well, those things sold for $40, I think. including the popcorn.
That was the fleshlight one, right?
Yeah, that was yeah, which was both obscene and brilliant at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's
So you're reaching in the mouth of the worm
for your popcorn,
for your food. Yeah.
walk without rhythm.
There's spice in there or something, right?
That's right.
but
Spice melange.
the one thing I'll say is I really enjoyed the movie as far as the Frozen Empire. But a lot of the stuff you see in the trailer is not in the movie. I'll say that.
What?
That
Contextually speaking?
Like the group shot of everybody wearing the red jacket does not exist in the movie.
That's interesting.
But it was a great movie.
It was a fantastic movie.
You could say the same thing about Star Wars Rogue One.
Yeah.
Where the previews were completely different. I mean, there were scenes that were. Now, I remember hearing something where they stopped production, and they were like, "Stop! We're completely resetting this and everything." And people were scratching their heads on, "Oh boy, Rogue One's going to be a real dog. Here we go!" And then it came out, and it just
not a terrible film.
Well, and the thing that I think most of the hate I've seen for it is because these guys all spent $1,500 on a red winter jacket and put patches all over it and electronics with lights, and then for only 2 people in the movie to have that particular jacket worn in the movie when they expected to see all 6 people wearing the same thing.
I think it's still pretty cool.
Did it make it to the screen? Sounds like it made it to the screen.
2 people, like I said, wore that jacket.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. It's still screen accurate.
Yeah.
Anything interesting happening behind
Yeah,
you?
it's downtown Renton.
Just to be homeless crackheads walking by.
Well, I don't know, but downtown. That's what.
Yeah, you don't have to be a crackhead to be homeless. That's one thing we've said.
Yeah, but those specifically, I think, were homeless crackheads.
Okay.
Does anybody bother with crack anymore? I think so.
No. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but
Crack is whack.
yeah, you know what? It's funny. We all ha. Nancy Reagan, just say no and everything. But really, if you want 90% of success in life, stay in school.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Yeah.
Well, they sure can take over somebody's life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's I've here's something.
Yeah, you just got to be good at it.
Never.
Is that
I
Jeff?
have never.
Is that Jeff?
I think it is.
No, it's Mark Arnold. Hi, Mark Arnold.
I can't tell through the
No,
glass.
he's a Renton skateboard legend.
Okay.
And a close personal friend of mine.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a little bit of me and everything, and my better half.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
And she is far better half. She is the director of programming and outreach for the King County Library System.
KCLS, amongst.
Yep, KCLS. She is a real award-winning librarian.
Wow.
Like national award-winning librarian. She's done a lot of work within the American Library Association. She's her specialty was teen and young adult literature. She just does amazing things, and currently she is the current president for the Renton Regional Community Foundation.
Jeez Louise.
Nice.
What is it? RRCF? I think so. Yeah.
Something like that. That sounds like.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I really am.
So she was part of that through COVID and everything. There are a lot of small businesses and entities that were saved by the work that they do and the fundraising that they do and stuff like that. So at some point she's excited to be here. She'll definitely pitch for all of that and everything else. But I figured I'd be the vanguard for this whole thing, and you guys would get the child before you got the adult. And also, hey, what Jeff is doing here, his vision,
fantastic.
his vision for what I Am Renton is going to be is phenomenal. I mean, those of you watching on YouTube right now, you can see the cars behind us and everything. It's nonstop. This is one of the busiest intersections in the city of Renton.
For sure. I would say in King County.
Absolutely. So, I am all for. I've lived in this. I was born in this city. raised in Ravensdale, but don't hold that against me, really. I mean,
I kind of, from like elementary school to high school, I was in Issaquah, so I don't feel
Issaquah.
Issaquah.
But when as soon as it was about 2 hours after I graduated college, I was back here in Renton, moving in, putting down my roots and everything else. Been here, I've lived here in town here since '95.
Wow.
My wife, her family, I think she's fourth generation, having a Renton address.
Renton.
Yeah, what's her non-Benedetti name?
Godey.
All right.
And if that sounds familiar, that's because her dad was a firefighter for this city.
Nice.
Yeah. The firefighter, first responder stuff goes deep in the family.
Yeah. So you've lived in Renton a very long time. Do you remember Sears?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh gosh, because
do I remember Sears? I remember when the fountain at Maplewood Golf Course was sitting in the Renton Center. Not vestibule.
Kind of
what is it? The courtyard.
Yeah,
it was a courtyard.
yeah, there was a water. There was a fountain, and then they had the dolphin statues.
Well, if you want,
And there was like a bear too. What?
yeah. In fact, there's at the old Renton Highlands, there were some of those industrial sculptures. My brother-in-law has actually done some research on the artist who put those together and everything.
Yeah, Clymer did too. I can't remember that.
It's really cool because it won this award, and the whole idea was to make great art fast and fun, where you could just put it out somewhere. You could put it across the street at in a park or something, and kids are going to climb all over it and everything else, and just have fun and everything, but still pleasing. And it's like kind of pleasing to the eye, and it's
concrete.
It's art. It's concrete.
Yeah.
But, so that Renton Center. Do I remember Renton Center? Okay, let's get back to video games.
Command Center, people.
I have in one of the boxes that my parents gave me when it was like when they were kind of cleaning things out. They were like, "Here you go," and I was like, "Oh, cool." So I see some spare change, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll just throw this in the kids' piggy bank." And I look at no.
Command Center tokens?
A Command Center token.
Oh, it's gold, my friend, gold.
And I'm telling you, one of the things I do with the podcast, and again, why it costs me money, because, Todd, you know as well as I do, you're a collector. Mm-hmm. Okay. And gentlemen, are you collectors? Okay.
Of various things.
Okay, me too.
Mostly ex-wives.
Okay.
He also has a thing with music too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Music. Hey, I was a musician from 5th grade to my second year in college. First year of college actually was on a little music scholarship and everything.
Geez, that's great. Oh,
and then I realized that other than for being able to play G above double high C cold, and being pigeonholed in the jazz band, and I wanted to play classical, I figured out I'm a hack.
How dare you?
And
You just found jazz.
I never clicked with it. My brother, the professional musician, clicks with jazz. It just never did it. So yeah, that was among things that I've collected, especially with the video games. The Command Center, Joystick magazine. And I think it was put out by Condé Nast way back in the day. It was a video game magazine that wanted to actually be cutting edge, and the print, the quality of the paper, and everything else, top shelf stuff. And it took me a while and a lot of money, but I finally hunted all those issues down.
Yeah.
Thanks, eBay.
How many issues?
Were there 11?
Jeez.
Oh wow!
It came out It came out not bi-monthly. Yeah, I think bi-monthly. So every other month it would come out, and then towards the end, through the crash and everything, and all of a sudden video games just dropped off to nothing. It came out like maybe once every 3 or 4 months, and then it just stopped coming at all.
Magazines are terribly expensive.
Oh yeah, and of course, the time I actually subscribed to it. That's when it shuts down. But they covered. The Pacific Northwest. And remember Goldie's on 45th?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Goldie's, they profiled them. They also profiled Command Center and everything. And it's one of those things where Command Center was the
Oh, no, I
place.
love. Oh no, I had
I
gallons
don't know
of
if I
sweat.
ever went to Command Center. Was that next to or near the Sears, or where was that?
If you exit, okay,
Yeah.
now if you here we go. So if you go to
away.
where the televisions were at Sears, there was kind of like a pathway there between from where the televisions were.
I did never
I
see
don't
that.
remember what the hell was on the other side of it, but there was a pathway. It went to double doors,
Yeah.
and it went straight out into the courtyard.
Courtyard, yeah. It was
And-
the candy section on this. Yes.
Yes,
'Cause you
yes.
can still get
Okay.
bulk candy.
The first time I ever had Swedish
Yes.
fish was from that candy stand.
Wow.
If you went past that, you went through the doors and into the courtyard, and off to the right, you had Heritage Bookshop,
Yeah.
which was amazing.
That was the D&D joint.
That was the D&D joint. I met Jim Davis of Garfield fame there.
Nice.
Had all my books signed by him.
So
it was,
good.
It was so, I mean, just great stuff. I mean, incredible memories of Renton Center. And if you just went down maybe a door or two, that's where Command Center was.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
hitchhiked. I love that place so much. A buddy of mine and I hitchhiked from Ravensdale to Renton. And I only say this now because both of my parents no longer are on this earth plane here.
They'd be mad.
They'd be. And here I am in my 50s, and it's like,
And you used to drink out of the hose too, right?
when didn't I drink
Best
out of
tasting water.
Well, the thing is I've seen this a lot lately. Where people are like, "Did you guys really drink? Why didn't you go in the house?"
But I mean, I'd rather drink out of a lead encased hose than I would hitchhike in the United States.
Yeah, we hitchhiked all the way to Command Center.
Yeah, it is.
We got
It's
all the
always
way out
taking a
there.
risk. It is.
And at the end, we didn't care. We just said, you know what? Why not? Let's go for it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm thinking now that I probably wasn't aware of Command Center because my mom didn't allow me to see it. Because the only time we ever went to Sears was when I was real little, and I don't know if they were even there at that point. So it would have been like mid to late 70s that we would have gone to Sears.
Yeah, 40 tokens for $5.
Yeah.
I think on the
Oh,
weekend.
wow.
You would double it up.
Wow.
I can tell you that Command Center or some entity thereof was there all the way up through the early 90s.
Oh wow! See, I did. The only arcade I was aware of was the Quarters in Bellevue or Kirkland, and then there was
the one
also
in the Highlands. There was
and
one too.
there was also
By Rebel
a place in Factoria at the mall.
I think there was a place at Factoria. What the gold mine?
I don't remember what the
No,
name
that was SeaTac. That was
I don't remember
SeaTac
what
Mall.
it's called, but I just remember it had all of the big upright arcade machines with the 3 and 4 player games like Ninja Turtles and Simpsons and all that.
Yeah, that was later on. One of my other hetero life partners, he lives up in the Highlands, and he's into pinball and the old cabinets and everything. And one of the things that he has, in fact, I've told him, I said, listen, if you ever get rid of this, I'm first in line. I want first right of refusal. He has Atari's Space Duel.
I don't even know Space Duel.
Vector graphic one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I'm like, his goal is to eventually get every vector graphic Atari arcade game that they built.
Are they dependable, do you know? Is the vector graphic a easier technology to keep an eye on?
So instead of raster, let's go into here we go, kids. Break out your engineering degrees. So you have vector graphics and you have raster graphics. Everything that we have, everything that you're probably looking at here is going to be essentially raster, where it scans. You have an electron beam that scans.
So the old CRT monitors.
Yeah, exactly. It's raster scan. Vector is where
Like Star Wars.
like Star Wars, which
asteroids.
asteroids, Tempest.
Tempest. Oh,
Tempest.
so hard.
Also available on the Atari 5200.
Nice.
Tempest. All those. It's the electron beam actually draws the line itself. So that thing is just
It's in
bouncing.
motion, yeah. Huh.
So one of the things that you always hear about is like how Star Wars, which was amazing.
Oh, it's a great game.
Star Wars the
Great
arcade
game.
It had audio from the movie too, which was
which was
great.
huge.
Let
And that
it
was,
go.
I mean, that,
1980, right? For that movie, for that game?
so, yeah.
79 or
Yeah.
80.
So good.
yeah, it
So
was.
good.
It's around in that area. Could be even maybe a little later, but no later than 82.
One Up actually makes the Star Wars game as well, which is that 3/4 size upright machine.
One of our hosts on our podcast by the name of Glenn Planamento lives in New York. And have you heard of the GRS controllers that you can upgrade those 1-up arcade machines with?
I know, but I know that you can. Yeah.
He is the G in GRS. GRS stands for Glenn's Retro Show, which also can be seen on YouTube.
Hey.
Plug in Glenn's show as well.
Yeah, go for it.
But it shows you how large this community is and how diverse it is, and where there's a need, the community steps up and
It's
meets
that
that need.
entrepreneurial spirit that we were just talking about.
because-
Yeah,
Same kind
and
of
he
thing.
makes I think it's about $200 or something, but he makes an upgrade because the 1-up arcades, the controllers are okay.
They're not great. Yeah.
They're not great.
They're
They're
also
not-
like half size too.
Yeah, and also you
That's why I haven't bought one.
you got
because
the
it's like
200-pound gorillas yanking and banking on these things all the time, and they're going to break. Well, that's one of the things about these arcades, especially if you go down here to 8-bit. An arcade machine is built like a tank.
Yeah.
It has to be. And that is it cool?
Motorbike.
Oh, well, obviously.
Yeah, I know he's turning while
Trying
a
to take a
school
free
bus.
ride.
But yeah.
He's trying to cut in front of a school bus. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that tracks. But those controllers and everything are built to arcade, if not better quality.
Yeah.
and
It's one
direct
of the-
swap ins. They're
That's
really
one of the
nice.
reasons why I didn't spend the $700 to buy that thing, because I was like, it's 3/4 size. And it's an upright machine that like stands to here when you're, 5'10". So, and the screen is like half the size, and the controllers are also half the size.
Well, you got to buy the riser.
Yeah, the riser
Probably
lifts
get a
it
couple
up.
of-
Riser not included.
Yes, another
And
$60.
they don't sell them. Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah, well,
the
geez.
riser, which is a
Cinder
press
blocks
board,
are like
it's
$250
a
at Home
press,
Depot.
it's a press
Yeah,
board
yeah,
box.
totally. Yeah.
It's a press board box. It has the same labels as the game itself.
Yep.
$60. And I would have bought one of those things had the controls been like durable enough for me to be like,
You got to upgrade
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
with the GRS controllers.
And
And can one of those systems do vector and the?
Well, it's not a vector anymore. I mean,
no, yeah,
everything
that-
is digitally done.
that's a flat screen
gotcha.
monitor now.
All right,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
would still look like it was.
Oh yeah, it looks
yeah.
almost exactly. In fact,
You could probably just go ahead and make yourself a MAME arcade system and
Which-
buy one of those controllers to make it work.
my buddy Ryan did.
Yeah.
My buddy
Jeez,
Ryan, he
that's
made
it.
one. In fact, he had one where it could project the bezel or bezel, however you pronounce it, from the
Bezel.
original Star Wars game. So it looked like you were actually playing, but it's just a giant flat screen. I mean, and this was. Man, I think he did that 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
technology is always on the move and everything else. So
Yeah.
everything just keeps getting better and better and better.
MAME is multiple arcade machine emulator.
Yep.
It's basically a software that allows you to play the ROMs of the old games.
Yep.
And those are mostly public domain then? And that's how they get away with that? Or?
no.
All right.
Yeah.
No, they're not. I mean, I don't think they are. I'm pretty sure they're not.
I'm sure.
You can
yeah.
find all those ROMs on the Internet
Yeah.
Archive. If you want to download them and play them on your computer, you can. They're
something that we promote in the on the show, which is there's a couple of ways that you can do this with your old machines, which is for the Atari 2600. There's something called a Harmony cartridge, where you can load everything up on an SD card, plug it into this thing, and you can play everything you want.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
totally makes sense.
That works really well, especially for the 5200, which is called an Atari Max. And you put everything on your little chip, and you throw it into your cartridge and plug the cartridge in, and you're playing the original game on original equipment and everything, and you don't have to spend $500, $600, $700 on a cartridge of Bounty Bob Strikes Back
Yes.
for that machine and everything.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the archive.org is a website that people have uploaded any number of things to keep like an archive of it so it can be found by other people. There's
all this
not, and it's not always uploaded legally, but it's there.
But it's uploaded and it's safe.
Well,
it's not like Pirate Bay or whatever, where
they don't make a profit off of it. I think
they don't make
that's the difference.
And I mean, it's not like Joystick Magazine is being produced anymore,
right,
or anything. But still, you might want to you will want to read one of these magazines if you're into retro gaming,
right?
But do you want to pay? When the word got out, those magazines went from like anywhere from $5 to $10 a piece to $40 to $70 a piece.
Wow!
And I think that's one of the biggest. It's great if you're going to make a little bit of quan on the side to I'm going to sell some part of my collection so I can get some good money for it so I can buy something else. But I remember buying on eBay 15 years ago, I bought a trackball controller, which is probably the greatest accessory you can buy for the 5200. And I actually have interviewed and been in correspondence with Dan Kramer, the guy who worked at Atari who developed this thing. It's a beautiful piece of equipment. I bought it for brand new in a sealed box for $80.
Wow.
I dare you to find a used one that's been kicked around the barn for 2 or 3 years for under $200 now.
Wow.
I mean that's the great thing is that, hey, this stuff is popular. The bad thing is to the like everything else, it just gets ruined by the people who want to make a buck off of it. And it's like, And here's the thing, hey, it's capitalism. Well, that's kind of how
that happens with a lot of fandoms too. Speaking of like Ghostbuster stuff, when like the original screen accurate, I don't call them toys, but they're like collectibles. Matty made. There was a company called Matty Collectibles or Matty Toys made them, and they were $80 brand fucking new. The retail price. But now, if you look for that particular make and model of neutrino wand, it's like $400.
Yeah.
And the people who are making money off of Ghostbusters who have nothing to do with Ghost Corp, it's insane.
Yeah. But that's the nature of the beast.
That's collectibles, yeah. Then you just try to gamble that if you're in it for the money, that your collectibles are going to be.
Or hopefully somebody realize that somebody has mislabeled this thing.
Yeah.
And you're the only one who's looking at the auction, and it's like, oh, I'm going to get this $200 item for $40 because it's not popping up on anybody's search,
or it's mislabeled. Yeah. In fact, the other one, I have two of these. I have this one and I have the Spengler one, which it looks different, but it's basically it's the same electronics.
Okay.
The Spengler one has the wrapper on the handle, has a different grip on the front. I got that on Amazon, and it was labeled something else. It wasn't labeled neutrino wand. It was like Ghostbusters, Spengler, blah 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 blah, and it had nothing.
Well, what's fun is when you look at these things. These are the as close as you can get for screen accurate or whatever.
Yeah.
But you start realizing that the greeblies that they've stuck on there. I mean, they got this is a heat sink off of probably a stereo that they had kicking around in the warehouse somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, we're looking for something that looks like this. And you just start grabbing things. And I think that's one of the things that...
Like this thing here. This thing right here is, I think, off of like some...
hey, don't point that thing at me.
Yeah, it's not loaded.
Across the beams, man.
But yeah, I think this is off of like an industrial electronic thing, and then these knobs are all from different like.
Oh yeah, you just kit bashed and everything else. I mean, that's
dude.
How many guys? You all had Star Wars toys, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Which I still had though.
Oh yeah.
I'm thankful that my mom never threw mine away.
Lucky.
I know.
Yeah. Well, she was a collector herself of
there you
porcelain.
Go.
things. And
She
everything.
understood that.
She understood the mania. It really is a sickness.
And I think I've told these guys, but did you ever see? Was it Amazing Stories? There was an episode
with Mark Hamill,
With Mark-
and yes, at the very end, he sells everything at auction and becomes a billionaire.
Yeah, that episode.
Couldn't have no nicer guy.
That episode is what introduced me to the idea of collectibles and collecting. And I was like, man, I have all this cool Star Wars stuff. I should have doubles of everything. And I told my mom that. She's like, no, I'm not buying new doubles.
Now, if you want to talk about what's wrong with fandom right now, it's what's happening with the toy man. I know I mean, how many tangents have we went screaming off on?
ADHD
doesn't matter.
in full effect, folks.
But yeah, hey, if I'm going down, I'm bringing everybody I can with me on this one. But no, but that's kind of ominous, especially when I do.
Yeah. Whoa. We'll fix that in post.
JK, kids, JK. No. It's. If you walk, I remember one of the things that I loved doing when I was collecting was it wasn't about the collecting; it was about the people that I met along the way.
Right.
And I am friends with those people to this day.
Right on.
I get together. We've supported each other in high, in great times and in bad. You keep those gossamer threads that bind you together, and those friendships formed collecting Star Wars toys. And it was, in fact, I think I just talked about this, where it was like, it was great because you could remember Toys R Us. Of course, you remember Toys R Us.
They're coming back, by the way. No, they're opening actual stores.
Oh! I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're in Macy's, but they're opening brick and mortar Toys R Us stores
Thank
again.
goodness. So, anyways, you'd go to like Target or something like that, and you'd run into everybody, and you'd go to Toys R Us, and they had the 99-cent bargain bin. And it was like all the peg warmers. Peg warmer is a figure that sits on the peg for an extended period of time, but nobody sells it. Way back in the day, it was the Rancor Keeper. And then when they redid the Star Wars line, when they shut it off at 85, it was like, okay, what was still on the pegs? The Rancor Keeper. Well, when they started the line back up in 95 and continued to add figures to the line to update everything, what became the peg warmer again? All together now. The Rancor Keeper.
Poor Rancor. He's working over here.
I know, man. He lost his pet, too.
Yeah, nobody wants to scoop a Rancor poop,
But it was fun. And it's like, you didn't care. You're going to buy a few of these things. And you know what? I mean, granted, the magic with, sealed on card R2-D2 with...
Mint in the box! Mint in the box!
Yeah, mint in the box. Everybody's... You could dumpster dive for these things and just, bring up a ton of them and everything.
Going to KB Toys and buying them for $2 a piece.
Oh, I love 99 cents at Toys R Us. I mean, you could build.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything at Toys R Us for 99 cents anymore.
You're not getting anything for 99 cents. In fact, I just said when I was doing my podcast and I was talking about what I saw at Target, I was like, oh, there's a Boba Fett. Hey, that's kind of cool and everything else. Maybe I'll pick it up just for fun because it's kind of cool looking. Not for $24.95.
Was it a Black Series?
No, it was a 3 3/4 inch on card.
Oh, it was with replica Kenner.
$24.95.
Not around here, partner.
No.
What? I mean, original? No, can't be. It has to be one of those special edition ones then.
It was kind of a special edition, but it was
ain't $25 special.
But the thing is like, check this out. I mean, going to like thrift shops now, they know this stuff is worth, because last time I went to I think it was Value Village, they had a set. They had, remember the carrying case that was Darth Vader's bust? It was, and you open it up and it was.
Oh yeah.
They had one of those for $300 with a bunch of figures inside of it.
Oh wow.
They wanted the whole thing for $300.
Well, caveat emptor, buyer beware. If you're giving, it goes for the same for if you're giving something away. If you're going to give something like that away, I mean, there's a part of me kind of says that Goodwill is kind of taking advantage of people.
Oh, they totally are.
Not knowing what they're doing, but that's the way the ball bounces.
And never underestimate the anger of a woman scorned.
Yeah.
She will throw every collectible fucking thing you've ever had straight in the Goodwill bin.
Yep,
Right?
yep.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need this.
The thing is though, you I saw a video for this just yesterday. Somebody's like, "Hey, look at this gently used what was it? Starbucks plastic cup, and it still had like bits and pieces of chocolate inside of it for $4.
Oh goodness.
It was a disposable plastic cup. It wasn't like one of the $30 tumblers you can buy. It was a plastic recyclable cup for $4.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have sucked a lot of air out of this room.
That's all right.
It's a big room.
Well, hey,
we got
yes.
some. We got
We got
headlines. Got a
headlines.
show and everything. Got headlines and everything.
I don't
else.
know. I mean, we're hour and a half already in.
Wow.
But is there anything else you guys want to know about the podcast? Because really, what it is, it's to archive and to.
Bob, you could tell them your top 5 muscle cars.
Oh. Now,
He listened to that episode. He's like, Don, I have to talk to you about these things.
All right, so I am a muscle car enthusiast. I actually still own my muscle car that I
What
bought.
do you?
I have a '73 Dodge Challenger.
Oh, I had a '73 Roadrunner.
Nice,
Yeah.
very nice. The Coke bottle, the Coke bottle.
You guys
one.
want to sit next to each other? Just kind of.
We're gonna play footsie and.
No, I have a really weird top 5 because I can't really put one on top of the
Yeah.
other.
It's in no particular
And
order.
when you say you have your muscle car, do you mean that is the car that you've owned for some time?
I bought that thing in 1988 when I was 17 years old for $1,100, and everybody told me I'll never get my money out of it.
Right.
And you know what? They were
Yeah.
absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So, anyways, right now it's just basically in pieces and everything because I want to do the last time.
Restoration. Sure.
The last restoration.
You got to go down
it's a
to
lot of
Vegas and
work.
talk to Danny Coker.
No, I'm not going to do no. We have some very. In fact, a friend of mine from high school is a very. He's an incredible auto restoration artist, for lack of a better term, and everything. And it's probably going to be going to him just because.
What power plant are you running?
I am building I have a 340 block that I'm going to be building up to about 416 cubic inches. And the question is, do I want to go? Normally aspirated, or do I just want to blow a lot of money and throw a Paxton supercharger on it?
Oh man!
Cool, yeah.
All right.
Hey, if you have the money to do it, I say go for it.
Yeah.
I don't, but I could, and I'll have to work hard, but I will. And
I don't know.
I say if you're gonna do the last time, just go over the bloody top.
It depends on what you want to do with it too, though. Because I always thought, with mine, it was always not going hyper, going solid.
Like,
You know what I mean?
I want to go hyper and solid.
Yeah.
But I want to do something where it's just where people just look at it and you're just like,
Holy shit.
oh, that is 10 pounds of hot shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah.
So, but the top 5, you guys had excellent choices. Mine would in no particular order. And the reasons behind it would be, I guess you could call it number 1 or number 5, the Ford Mustang.
Okay.
Even though the Barracuda was kind of like the first pony car, it was the Mustang that it was like, what is that? Oh, it's a Mustang. I mean, granted, it was basically a rebodied Falcon.
Yeah, but great fucking lines.
Exactly. I mean, and the cool thing about it was you could be a rich man or a poor man. And if you drove a Mustang, it didn't matter. You know, if you were the richest man on earth, dude, great Mustang.
Yeah.
Poor guy, hey man, nice Mustang.
Yeah.
Right?
I am not a FOMOCO, but
Neither
my
am I.
dad was. But the Mustang, there's
why
just
not?
something about it.
Yeah. It changed everything. It really did. So,
Oh, Ford Motor Company. Gotcha.
Yeah,
I was like,
FOMOCO.
what the fuck is a FOMOCO?
Next one, I would say the Yanko Camaro.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, if you can get it, right?
And if you could, well, again, this is pie in the sky stuff. But if in the same time, from the same era, a Mr. Norm's 440 Dart, because I don't know if you know the story of this, but Mr. Norm's out of Chicago they were kind of like the Yanko of Mopar,
Right.
And they would do insane things with these cars. And one of the things was that he would take a 440 big block and stick it in a Dart.
Oh yeah.
And the Chrysler engineers heard about this, and they were like, "You're kidding, right? You can't do that. You can't put that in there." And he's like,
Oh, but I did.
I have a guy. He'll do it for you overnight.
Yeah, I mean, I got to imagine the reconstruction, the reinforcement of, of the
And they
frame.
did.
With the curve.
Mr. Norton paid a guy. He's like, hey, can you stay late and put a 440 in one of these darts? And I got the Chrysler people coming, and he's like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I'm pulling out the slant 6.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing in a
so much
440.
extra room in there, though.
So yeah,
So
I
did
would
they
say
put the driver and the steering wheel in the back seat?
no. They got it to fit.
Oh, wow.
They got it to fit with minimal modifications and everything, and it was.
Wow.
In fact, when the Chrysler engineers showed up and looked at it, they were like, "We never even thought of doing something."
What
like
year
this.
dart did they do? What
It was around 68.
Okay.
68 or so.
Okay. So they still had that real square.
Yeah.
I mean, they always had the square body, but.
Yeah. So, anyways, I would say the dealership supercars, the Yanko Camaro, the Mr. Norm's Dart, all those different ones and everything. I think that would be, I think we had Mustang as number one. We'll call that number two. But like I said, no particular order. Next one. Let's see. I think it would be kind of the last of the muscle cars. It was the Pontiac Trans Am 455 Super Duty.
Okay.
That was
With the Pontiac 455?
the Pontiac 455 Super Duty. In fact, there was a memo that went around to all the dealerships saying, don't sell any parts to anybody from the Super Duty 455 Super Duty engine unless they own a 455 Super Duty engine. Unless it's the Trans Am SD, don't sell them because they were having supply chain problems keeping up with the guys who actually had those cars.
Yeah. What year was that?
I want to say 74.
74? Yeah.
74. So there's number 3. Number 4. What is it? Yeah, this would be the fourth
74
one.
had the square lights, right?
I think it had square lights.
Yeah.
Or did it have? No, this might
I
be,
don't know. I just
this
thought
might
they
be the
looked
round.
pretty.
This might be the round. Yeah, you got the Googler there.
Google it.
What am I Googling?
Pontiac Trans Am 455 Super Duty SD 455 SD.
Trans Am.
The next one would be
What was it? 450 what? Super,
Pontiac,
oh, there you go.
Pontiac Trans Am 455 SD.
And
What's it say there? There she is.
I
Yeah,
just want to look at the pictures of it. Oh, these are even
round headlights.
These are
Round
the
headlights.
newer ones.
All right.
Let's go back.
Oh, that's the one with the little nose cone.
Yeah, I feel like 78, 77, 78 might have been
The little.
I think it had a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of torque.
Next one would be the 1986 Pontiac Grand National. I mean, not Pontiacs. I'm sorry. The Buick Grand National.
Yeah,
The turbocharged V6.
that was a hot thing for a while.
That was
finding
huge
that
because there was a little company called Hypertech that came out.
Is that what it was that took those and
You'd pull the chip out, and you put in a specially modified chip into the computer, and boy, if you think that the Grand National could scoot before this thing, it got rid of the rev limiter, it got rid of everything, and it would just.
Did you guys ever see there's a company out of Florida that was taking the newer Camaros and turning them into Trans Ams. Have you seen those?
oh yeah.
And the guys who did this also got Burt Reynolds to autograph all the ones that they built.
That's awesome, but for
Called the
me,
Bandit.
for me, it's like sticking feathers up your ass and calling yourself a chicken.
You know what, Bob?
Hey, don't
I'm
kink
taking
shame,
that.
man.
Yeah. I'm stealing it.
Little bit of Tyler Durden there for you.
We don't yuck other people's yums, man.
Yeah. Hey, if that's your thing, that's awesome. But for me, and again, this really comes down to what the whole muscle car thing is.
Yeah.
What is a muscle car? I mean,
It's like
you
art,
asked
right?
that question.
Yeah.
It's it's awesome, and yet if you have the money to do it, go for it. Do it.
It's
But-
not an original, but it looks fucking cool, and
Didn't they T-top them and everything?
Yeah, they
and the
T-top them and everything.
technology-
Yeah.
And the technology is phenomenal. I mean, the new Challengers are infinitely better in every way, shape, and form from the old Challenger.
Yeah.
But there's
Something about it.
Well,
Hey,
now, why
you
shouldn't
don't-
they be, right?
You
That's
don't
another
drive a
50
Harley.
plus years.
I'm sorry, not drive. You don't ride a Harley for comfort.
Yeah.
You do it because it's awesome and it's cool.
Yeah.
So, and then the number one, if you ask me, the number one muscle car of all time, it goes to two, believe it or not, but they're pretty much the same thing. It is the 1970 Dodge Challenger 340 six-pack TA and the AA Arcuda.
Yeah.
346 pack in those things, and I honestly believe that these two cars were the truest race car. That's
the Bandit. Yeah,
that is cool. But those two cars are probably the two greatest race cars ever to come out of the factory. Because they were set up from moment one to be an actual race car.
Right.
It had the Hemi torsion bars on it. It had a modified exhaust system. The hood was fiberglass. In fact, that's one of the things when people get like reproduction fiberglass hoods to try to to get that on there. There's a smaller spring on the hinge. It's also, there is no latch. Those hood pins, they're there.
That's what it's there for.
It's for reals, as the kids would say. It's for real. And also they remounted the antenna to the rear fender because of all the noise from the radio.
The
RF interference from the alternator.
That's great.
And I mean, every aspect of that. Not only that, but it actually had torque boxes installed on the frame. It had it all. So if you want a turnkey, most people will say, "Oh, the Hemi." Don't get me wrong. The Elephant is the greatest of all.
Right.
But if you want bang for your buck,
a small block. Too.
Yeah, no, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
But
because they have 340 and 318 on the same block, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes and no. The bore is different.
Yes.
The bore is different, and I think there's more meat to the block.
Yeah.
Now the TA, again, this was a block that was completely different from all the other small blocks because it had reinforcements that were cast in the block itself to support a 4-bolt main system. So you could, and that's one of the things. That's why those engines are so insanely rare because a lot of guys pulled those things for racing. Because a small block, you could get, without even nowadays, if you want to get 600 horsepower out of that small block, you can do it.
Right.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
But anything else, back in the day, if you wanted power to weight ratio, that was the way to do it.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do? We're going to stroke the living hell out of this thing and just run it like a monster. Okay, how do you do that? Well, we need to keep the bottom end together.
Yeah.
So it has a little bit thicker journals on it and everything else, so you can do that drilling, do the machine work, and put those bolts in.
Yeah. I think I'm going to stop eating avocado toast so I can save my money and get my hot rod back. Maybe stop getting Starbucks,
Yeah.
So again, gentlemen, thank you for having me on the show and
No,
everything.
we appreciate you being here.
It is.
You gonna hang out for the top 5 for this week?
I will hang out if you guys want me to hang out. I'll hang
It's
out.
all
I'd
up
love
to you.
Doing it.
You music guy?
Yes.
Okay. You talked about playing.
Yeah.
Favorite genres?
It's all over the board.
Okay. Okay, good.
So the top 5 for this year is music catalog. Top 5 music catalog you have to have if you're on a desert island.
Yeah, like
Desert Island
catalog.
Catalog. So one artist, their entire catalog, you get to take to the desert island.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
We're gonna be
Which,
doing that.
it just starts to sound better. Now it's a vacation.
Yeah.
It's not really.
It's not really a desert island if you have
Eating crab and sucking on.
Crab Rangoon. Let's do some Enya.
Oh, God, we just went full circle.
All right. Well, you guys will have to tune in for that. So
Yeah, you can find that in the bonus round of the website or go to, the members only section of the website or the Patreon to find that. So do it. Check it out.
Yeah,
for those that are leaving us, it was great to have you here.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Come down and say again.
where they can find you?
Oh, you can find us on anywhere that you download your podcasts. You will be looking for the Atari 5200 podcast. It is hosted by Captain Bob and David, and a host of other guys and everything. We have, like I said, Glenn Planamento, who is of Glenn's Retro Show. We got Steve Averett. He has his own show called Wired Up Retro on YouTube. We always joke about how he's going to light his house on fire because he's finding different and exotic ways to get modern controllers to play on vintage machines.
Wow.
And he does some crazy things and everything else.
It's low voltage. He'll be.
It's solder gun.
We got
It's all good.
we got Pete Spivak. He's a former sportscaster out of the Detroit area.
Yeah.
Really cool guy and everything else, and just a great guy all around. He's and his first love was the 5200 and everything, and we also have Michael G, who works. In fact, he lives here fairly close in like the Fairwood area.
Wow.
And he's also done another podcast with David called the XEGS podcast, the Atari XEGS podcast, and it's that's a fun one and everything else.
And just to give people an idea, how frequently do you guys post new episodes?
Not as much as we should.
How many episodes do you have for?
I think we're working on episode 17 right now.
Geez, right on.
So, in fact, probably in the next couple of weeks, when we finally all have time, we come out every couple of months. COVID was great. We came out with 3 episodes in the year, and it was like everybody was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
We were like, "Oh my god!"
So, just giving people kind of like what to expect, because because of their schedules, they don't do like we do, it's just every week.
Yeah, it's what we. Part of the reason is that we actually want to know. We want to dig into this thing, and again, like I said, it's all about the love of the games, and it's all about archiving the people who put these things together and everything else. So we dig into the history of these video games. We dig into the history of the people who wrote them and programmed them, and then we go through and we just kind of deconstruct what this game was, and should you get it or not? I mean, you're gonna get it no matter what. I mean, you're gonna play with it and everything, but we're trying to find really profile the great things about these games, and some of the games that are just dogs that you might think. In fact, we had one episode called Dogfight, where
Did you talk about E.T.?
No, that was the 2600, and I have personally met Howard Scott Warshaw.
I actually liked that game.
He is amazing, and for what he did, I think, what did he do? He put that sucker together in 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's how fast he programmed
As
that.
fast as they could print a label. He wrote a game.
Yeah.
Is
that's amazing.
there someone on your show that helps kind of wrangle the cats, or is it everybody ADHD?
We all we have a really we nailed down a script, and then we just kind of keep to it. But the thing is, it's like we talk about the gameplay, we talk about the graphics, we talk about the presentation, which would be like the box and everything, and it's 4 different categories. And you'd think if on my own podcast I'd remember what those 4 categories are, and I don't right now. But it's
ADHD brain.
it is just a little bit, But
We'll have to go check it out.
check it out. If you really want to geek out on this stuff, this is your show. This is the show, because we tear these things apart, and we have a fun time doing it and everything. But we also just want to honor what this is. Video games are art. Period. I mean, they're an amalgamation of art and science, but mainly they're art. The next episode, we're going to be doing the Dreadnought Factor by Activision, and probably I don't know anybody who doesn't like this game. The incredible Carol Shaw's River Raid.
Don't know that one.
right.
That sounds cool.
What?
I don't know. I feel like I need a 5200.
Yeah.
You can play it on the 2600. It was.
Oh, geez. All
In
right.
fact, I think in '83, River Raid was one of the top selling, if not the top selling, video game of that year.
Geez, that's fantastic.
And it's won every bloody award that ever was, and it's ported to every system that ever was. So,
Geez.
Nice.
yeah, River Raid. It's one of the best.
Cool.
All right, we'll find them on Facebook.
Find us on
them
Facebook,
wherever-
the Atari 5200 podcast. Come over and harass us. Tell us if we're great. Tell us if we suck. The whole idea is that if you listen to episode 1, it was just me and David and just kind of figuring things out. And it's like anything else. It's like kind of like Nirvana. When Nirvana started, they sucked. And what happened? I mean, this Dave Grohl says this. He's like, when we started Nirvana, we sucked. But we kept on playing, and we sucked a little less, and we sucked a little less. Every time we played together, and every time we performed together, and every time we did a gig, we got better and better and better and better. Nirvana didn't come up overnight. Nirvana took years.
So that's why the Foo Fighters are the best band ever.
Pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
Again,
It sounds like a lot of my marriages. So.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, no, we're proud to have you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Take care.
Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you think this episode is worth $1 or $5, the boys would love to have it. Please go to ourtownpod.store for merch or to donate now. For less than a cup of coffee, you can also join the website in the member-only area for exclusive bonus content, vlogs, and more. It's just $3 a month or $30 a year. Thank you for listening to this production of Our Town Podcast Extraordinaire.